inspecting everything that comes in and out of our borders. Hafa, I'm Nick Delgado. Welcome to The Hub, where America's stories begin. This week, we speak with Guam Customs officers as they take us along to see how the process goes to inspect just one container coming through our port.
The Port Authority of Guam. We are assigned to shadow Customs Officer Yvonne Cruz. She's the operations officer at the Guam Customs and Quarantines Maritime Section.
Where are we now, and how does this all go into the inspection process?
Okay, so the first step, right, Nick, is the shipping agent, required by law, they have to provide us electronic manifest. And this is 48 hours after they have left their place of origin.
These officers are given a heads up of what to expect days or even weeks before the cargo reaches Guam shores. It's what's called advanced manifest screening. Later in the show, we meet the officer involved in x-raying the containers.
After the x-ray have screened the manifests, they select, they have a selection process where they select a container or consignee that they have of interest, and after that point, they'll scan the selected container.
Yeah.
And if there's any issues where we need to further examine the containers, they will provide us a list of all the x-ray holes.
Okay, so you're already designating what containers to mark and look into.
Correct.
Upon arrival. You said 48 hours after it departs, in this case from Hawaii, right?
Right. Not including Saipan, CNMI, and all our brothers and sisters on the outer islands, yes.
So let's talk like with Hawaii. You get that 48 hours after it departs. How much longer are we expecting the arrival? Does that typically
It takes about 2 weeks
Okay.
from Hawaii approximately to get here to Guam. So we definitely have
a good heads up.
a good heads up on what's coming to Guam and if it's prohibited or if it's regulated, right? It's just so that we protect the goods that are coming into our island.
Here, officers meet with customers, the person receiving the container. Cruz says their billing will alert the officer if their container has been flagged for inspection.
So we get approximately like 2,600 containers a month,
Wow.
both domestic and foreign. So that comes through our window. And from there, when they scan, when they're screening the documents, they'll verify if it's been placed on an x-ray hold. And if so, then we'll place it on hold for a customs inspection.
Okay.
After the officer places it on hold for a customs inspection, the consignee or the expediter will then take the documents, and once the trucker is ready to pull out the container, the trucker will then call our office so that we can use our boat seal and our tag, our warning tag. At which time we'll meet the trucker out in what we call the hot spot, which is
Okay.
inside the port. And then we'll go ahead and place our boat seal and our warning tag. And from there, the container will leave to the location.
That seal is what ensures the container isn't tampered with from the time it leaves the port to the moment customs officers arrive to the customer's location, where the items will be offloaded.
We allow the satellite inspections because if the container is held in here, right, inspected in the port, there's fees that are associated, meaning people to the van inside the port, which we use the port employees. And then, so it just alleviates the cost on the importer. So the container will leave the port, it'll arrive at its location, then they'll give us a call here at the office when they're ready for inspection.
Okay. So inspections aren't done not always done here, right? They're sometimes done out in the field.
Yes, just a case by case, just depending on the risk and threat assessment by our office.
Okay.
Okay, so if everything's good to go and they're able to leave, we'll allow that by placing the satellite hold stamp so that way we can conduct the inspection at their site.
Up next on The Hub, where America's stories begin, we travel north from the port to a business in Tamuning. It's there we get to work inspecting a container flagged by customs. Guam Customs inspecting containers that arrive at the Port Authority of Guam. Customs Officer Yvonne Cruz meets us at the inspection site in Tamuning.
So we have a document here if the container is placed on hold, and it basically tells them that what's a requirement, right, to conduct an inspection at their location. So they have to have 4 demanders. It just kind of speeds up the process when we do an inspection, just because we have other inspections lined up. So it kind of moves quicker, right? So from here, once we get all the demanders' names on the list, we'll go ahead and proceed to the container. So from here, then we'll just go ahead and verify the seal, like I showed you in the office. So we place our warning tag here. So we're just verifying on our original inspection site request form. So 98, seal number 14819. Okay. And if this is still intact, we're good to go.
Good to cut?
Yes. Go ahead and cut the seal.
Breaking the seal looks tough. Customs retains the warning tag and the bolts are cut open.
This is going to require their resources, which is their forklift, and they'll go ahead and offload it. Which time we'll just go ahead and have them offloaded into the warehouse.
So we just monitor that.
We're monitoring that.
Every bit inside this container is then removed.
We'll just go ahead and stage it in there for K9. Okay.
So the actual inspections, they don't always occur inside the container. That's all in this case.
We usually have to have it to van and stage it in an area where it's conducive to our inspection, meaning the level surface, safety for the officers, and then we'll conduct the inspection. So in this case, it would be in the warehouse because this is not a conducive space to our inspection.
Yeah.
Time, right? So we probably taking this flat area.
Inside is numerous items to include water and sodas and one item that later will require testing on location. But what alerted customs officers to the specific container?
This container was selected for X-ray, but aside from their selection, we as officers on our team, we kind of look for other things depending where it came from. So, such as wood packing material, if they have the necessary documents right, or requirements, right? So what we're looking for is the wood packing material. If it has any borings, or if there's any pest in the container, that's another thing we look for. Even if it's selected for X-ray. So there's many other local and federal regulations that we look for, and officers are trained to identify and detect when we do our inspection.
The staff continue to offload the container. Officer Cruz keeps watch. We check in with Officer Danilo Pakaigui.
I've been with Customs for approximately 28 plus years.
He's with the Guam Customs and Quarantine's X-ray unit. We get a look at what the X-ray captured for the container we will inspect.
So what are we looking at here?
So the image we're looking at is from a scan, an X-ray scan that we did. Basically, the container we're conducting the inspection on, this is the scan that we're looking at.
Wow.
So with this X-ray van, we're able to manipulate the colors to determine the contents inside. But as you can see, you can manipulate the colors, right? Apologies, it's not.
So this is the actual container?
Yes,
Okay.
that we're actually searching right now, conducting a search. So basically, how we identify the items through the X-ray is by receiving an invoice that comes along with the inspection. And from there, we kind of dissect what we want to see and look for inconsistencies.
Such as?
Well, in a nutshell, for basically, if the container is the invoice is saying grocery items, maybe grocery items is canned foods and stuff like that, and it's not in the invoice, so and you see something there like forklift, so basically it's inconsistency of the invoice. So therefore, that will be held for further inspection. Anything else?
So how does the X-ray help you guys do your job to make sure that there isn't any contraband or something invasive that might have hopped on board?
So, like I said, With the invoice will definitely help us dissect this container, and then if we need to isolate, for instance, if this item is in question that's not on the invoice, then that will need to further inspection
And just
to
based off
determine. Yeah.
this scan, what? How does it look?
So this scan where there's some inconsistency, right? For instance, like here, everything is the same, right, on the pane, and then we see two different kinds here. So maybe that's the one we want to look at, right? If there's contraband, there is, then of course we seize it at the border. Now, if there's not a contraband, then we're good.
How far in advance do you guys capture the X-rays of the containers?
So basically, what happens? We receive the manifest. The whole customs agency receives the manifest. We review it and we select certain signs for X-ray. From there on, the port of authority will stage the containers that's selected, and then once complete, then we come down and conduct our scannings.
So aside from inconsistency, we're looking at also like the temperature of the contents, or
Yeah, because if it's temperature, we're looking at reefer containers. That's reefer containers. That's mostly with perishable items. But certain containers, let's say for hazmat materials, of course they need their placards on the containers, saying what kind of hazmat it is.
how common is it for you to find inconsistencies or contraband? Because that's the reason that you guys are out here, right? To
Yeah, it's
verify.
When I say pretty much that we've been experiencing is just they're consistent. They're consistent. They're giving the invoice and what they're declaring based on the X-ray scans of what we're seeing on the X-ray. So of course that doesn't need any further inspection. However, if the scans are good, but if the sign comes to the window and they see any other inconsistency with the documents, then it's gonna prompt an inspection.
It's flagged.
Yeah, it's flagged.
Okay.
Customs is unable to say exactly what those inconsistencies may be. This is to prevent anyone from trying to conceal contraband inside the shipping container. Next on The Hub, where America's stories begin.
Do you think it's possible to inspect every single container that comes through the port?
Officer Pakaigui's response coming up. And after about an hour on site, the container is finally cleared. We capture the canines sniffing it out. Inside Guam Customs and Quarantine's X-ray unit, we wait with Officer Danilo Pakaigui and Guam Customs Public Information Officer Alana Chargla Fafaisen until the container is cleared out.
Do you think it's possible to inspect every single container that comes through the port?
If we do have the manpower, equipment, it could be possible. 24-hour shift, we have all the tools in place, as in X-rays, we have canines, we have other equipment that assists us with the inspection. We could, it's possible.
Just based off of what we know, sir, I think we were discussing, and the inspection of a single container can take anywhere from 1 to 2 hours to an entire workday, and that's one container out of the 2,600 on average.
Yeah.
that officers
daily.
process.
Sometimes you guys do multiple a day.
So as you can see, the seal fits here. Sometimes will take maybe 2-3 hours. It depends if they have a commodity in question that needs to find if it's entryable or not. It's referred to the proper agency for further investigation.
And we want to emphasize too that 100% of containers that come through the port, the imported containers, are screened.
Yes.
You heard that right. 100% each and every shipping container that arrives at the port is screened.
As for the ones that are physically inspected, that's the 7 to 8%. And that again is based off of certain indicators, intelligence, the review of or looking out for any patterns that might exist and inconsistencies, like they said, and that will all initiate further steps into the inspection process.
Meantime, Officer Cruz continues monitoring the final remaining items being taken out of the container.
You want to step in?
Sure.
Yeah. Can you just step in real quick and then?
So we're about 2/3 through the container offloading.
Right.
How's everything looking?
It's looking good, although the commodity that we're interested in is at the back of the container, so we're just waiting for that.
Okay, I saw the X-ray. It's pretty interesting to see it all stacked up the way it is. And then we were talking about like looking at some of the inconsistencies, and I had asked him what that means.
So that's what we can check.
But I also asked the question, there's a lot of talk right now in the public eye with political officials about 100% inspections of containers. In your more than 2 decades of working for the agency, is that possible?
Well, Nick, anything is possible, but at this point in time, right, the resources is an issue, right?
No surprise, more manpower and equipment is needed.
If we were provided the resources, manpower, I see that likely, but as you can see how long it would take for a container inspection, given the amount of containers that we see per month, we really don't have the resources right now to do 100%.
But screening?
Screening, yes, is definitely 100%. And the officers really do their best. Like I said, they're really trained to identify certain things, right, when we're looking at the manifests. So we're doing our best. 100%, like I said, we need more resources.
Yeah.
I'm talking about more X-ray vans, more personnel.
That's what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, so, yes.
Equipment. More vehicles to get out here.
Right.
The officers here were getting some assistance from the staff of the company receiving the items.
And you guys really, having to see a lot of these companies over and over, you really build that relationship with them.
Yes, that's correct. We build a rapport with these regular customers and expediters as well that come to our office daily.
Do you think that helps and they become those added eyes for what you're out here
Yes. A lot of times they kind of help us too, just knowing what they know when they're clearing the documents. They kind of help us identify as well.
doing? Okay.
Yeah, so they're very important as well
That's a
during
plus.
this process.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next, on the hub where America's stories begin, the items removed are ready for inspection. We ask the question, what are they specifically looking for?
All right, so most of the items have been offloaded. We have the items that were in question. Now what?
So what we're going to do is go ahead and proceed into the warehouse, and we're going to inspect the items and actually have the dog unit
Okay.
run the items.
All right,
Okay.
let's do it.
They're doing the search now, so they can just catch them.
Okay.
And the canines that you guys have, they're trained to look for.
They are trained to look for narcotics. Yeah, that's what we have as our narc dogs here.
Okay.
Our inspection with Guam Customs and Quarantine is now passed over to the canine handlers. We monitor their search.
So the canines alert to the officers to something suspicious. What's the next process?
Then we're going to have to physically inspect it and find basically what he's alerting to. With the help, of course, the handlers, because they're more trained, right? They can pretty much assist us. We're going to go and look and see what they're alerting to. We'll do a physical inspection.
How common is it that you guys find narcotics within shipments?
I think the last one was just drug paraphernalia, but it's been a while. Like again, it's just the resources that we have.
So the last one was at least.
I want to say sometime last year we found some drug paraphernalia.
So it's uncommon. That's good. But at least you're catching it.
Yes.
Customs Officer Yvonne Cruz says these trained animals are a tool that helped officers to get the job done efficiently. Their involvement is crucial.
Because if I was to open each and every box, that's going to take time. Canine is our tool.
Yeah.
These guys are the ones that are going to kind of zoom in and focus in on what we need to look at.
Cruz says Guam Customs inspects on average 2,600 containers a month. This is the process for just one that recently arrived on island.
So the canines, you do 2 rounds of inspections?
It's just depending how many canines are available.
Yeah.
And the reason for why we use so many canines, more than one, is because of the work rest period, right?
Yeah.
And then also for training opportunities.
An opportunity each time to keep them sharp.
So they're looking for narcotics specifically. We're looking for heroin, meth,
Yes.
cannabis.
Cannabis imprinted on within fentanyl.
Okay, fentanyl.
Yes.
That's new. Ecstasy, MDMA, all of that.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Why is that important that you guys stop that from coming onto our island?
To protect the people and the island of Guam.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen just living here all your life, right? The impacts that that's caused to
Right.
the community.
The increase in crime from drug use, and then the safety of our community too. So that's why it's important for us to seize these items at the border before it gets on the streets.
What would you say to the community to give them that reassurance that you guys are doing everything you can to keep these drugs off our streets?
I would tell the community that our team, as well as the airport, we give our 100%. Just given the resources that we have, rest assured, we are doing our best to protect the island of Guam.
After the canines wrap up, the officers move in to further inspect.
Brother, is that correct? We're still going to do the inspection with or without an alert?
Yes.
Okay, so this is called a TrueNarc, and this is a tool that basically we use to identify unknown chemicals.
That's why these were flagged, these specific chemicals.
That's correct.
This device will test the chemical.
Right now, as for now, the dogs didn't alert, but
They did?
they did not alert to
Okay.
anything. But even if there's no alerts, we're going to go ahead and physically inspect it.
Okay.
Okay.
This one. Go ahead and pop it in. And then maybe you want to get a little sample. Yeah, it's separated.
So of course, when we're dealing with any unknown substances, we don't want to smell it, touch it. Just knowing that fentanyl is on our island, so
Yeah.
we basically use this tool. So this is kind of protects our officers.
And what is this we're about to test?
So we don't know this chemical. Do we know what this chemical is? Flammable liquid. So at this point, it's unknown.
Okay.
Okay, so we want to identify. So this TrueNarc can identify liquids, powdery substances, right?
Okay.
Okay. So it's direct.
Officer Cruz holding it steady above the liquid. The scanning process took about 90 seconds to register.
So after the scan, so it's showing inconclusive. So right now I can't really identify what the liquids are.
Is that an issue? Not an issue?
Inconclusive is basically saying that, it's not a drug.
Which is
Which is
what
a
we're
good thing.
looking for. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, so we are good.
So this entire inspection, it took us about, I want to say, from traveling from the port to get here, just over 2 hours. That's normal.
Yes, that's correct.
That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time it takes for one container.
But all clear.
All clear.
Good
Are
job.
we good? Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing negative going on.
It took more than 2 hours just to inspect this shipping container. Thankfully, all the items that we looked at, all clear. But authorities do confirm they do sometimes come across some contraband, some drugs that actually make it across our borders. That's why they're here. That's their job. But they also admit, and leaders, listen up. They need more staff. They need more help. So the next step is up to you. Thank you so much for watching The Hub, where America's stories begin. I'm Nick Delgado. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.